Well, hello everybody. We are here again, sporting the Gallagher's coat, of course. It feels like Oasis have infiltrated all of our lives today. Back together. After 30 odd years, the anniversary of definitely maybe, I believe it is. But 15 years back together, so I've decided to sport the cagoule. And do you know what? It's always like this at Elland Road. It always feels like it's a little bit overcast. So here we are. Let's hope there isn't a grey turnover on the end to this window. But I'm relatively positive. I have to say right now, the 49ers, I was always very much judging them on the end of the window. And I tried to make that abundantly clear. I'll still speak about, the sign-ins and all this sort of stuff and whether or not they'll fit this fantastic club and whether or not these sign-ins can really hold the shirt, because we know that Leeds United shirt is a heavy burden, and not only do you need talent, but you need mentality. And I do wonder, as this lot are all looking at me, the centenary bunch who had personality and talent, really, really heightened by the man in charge of them, of course. I wonder if players that we've got now can get to that level of success when it comes to promotion out of this division. Now, the reason I'm talking like this is because it's so interesting, the actual players that Leeds are targeting now, and by the time this video goes out, we might have signed X, Y and Z, everybody, but we might not have. And for me, the interesting part of all this is, why are Leeds going for a certain type of player? Why are we going for La Liga? Why are we going for Bundesliga? Why are we going for Premier League players when maybe previously we'd have looked at this division? Well, because if you're able to get these sort of cast-offs from that division, if you're able to get the talent that's been at that level, and for whatever reason it hasn't worked out, you're doing some fantastic work. You really are. And I think this is where maybe the club have got it right a little bit when it comes to Leeds United. And let's wait and see if that is something that the club get done, of course. Now, who are we all talking about? Roland Salai. Looks like Manor Solomon's going to be signed on the dotted line today as well. We also know Ramazani of Almeria, formerly of the dark side, Manchester United, has signed for the club as well. All of these players, top additions when it comes to the club. And how do I know that? Well, they've proven it. Roland Salai, a fantastic season at Freiburg, over 50 Hungarian international caps in a very, very, very good Hungary side at this moment in time relative to previous sides. A player who has Ligue 1 interest, who has French top league interest as well. And could Leeds United get a deal like this done? Well, we're competing at the top table, aren't we? And you do wonder, is that the influence? Is that the influence of Red Bull? Is that the influence of the 49ers coming to the fore? The fact that it looks like, as we're speaking right now, from a negotiation standpoint, Leeds United are about to beat Ajax to the signing of Manor Solomon. And if we're led to believe correctly, there are two clubs in for Roland Salai. And if Leeds were to get that deal done, are we eventually seeing the benefit of having Red Bull and having the San Francisco 49ers at our club? Ramazani, only 12 months earlier, Ramazani was being courted by Everton, and a £35 million tag was being put on his back. Crystal Palace also interested in Ramazani last January. Lyon also interested in Ramazani and made an inquiry about him last summer. So these are the sorts of teams that we're talking about here, and Leeds, whatever we may say and whatever the rumours were, 100% beat teams to these signatures and will continue to beat teams to these signatures if they're able to get them done. Now, is that the 49ers? Is that Red Bull? Well, you'd have to say so. You'd have to say that is the negotiation of which we've been speaking about. We were talking on the channel, we've spoken many times of what the advantage is of Red Bull being here. What's the advantage when it comes to commercial deals? Is there going to be any sort of bargaining when it comes to negotiation? Well, it looks like that's kind of happening to an extent, especially when you look at those deals. When you're looking at the deal of Ramazani, when you're looking at potential deals of Roland Salai, obviously, when you're looking at the deal of Manor Solomon and Ajax and Getafe been involved. So are we eventually seeing the impact of these people at our club? And is this sort of the the dovetail of what they were saying initially. Well, it very well might be, and especially if you're to go toward the back end of the window and potentially look at a Max Aarons, you'd potentially to look at a Phil Billing. Now, we all know that this is probably unlikely. Gus Hamer, very, very unlikely. But what I will say is, the Ramazani will surprise me out of nowhere. It really did. I really wasn't expecting that. Roland Salai, a name that came from nowhere. And look, we might not get it done. We might not get it done, but we're dining at the top table when it comes to relative level transfers that this club can bring in. We can't be going for the cream of the crop in the Premier League. We can't even really be going for mid-Premier League players. You've got to be looking at the lower to mid-end, but still for Leeds United, they're top signings at this level. And when you're looking at a Hungarian international with the amount of caps he's had, and when you're looking at his season for Freiburg, of which they don't want to let him go, but he's got a year left on his deal and they need money. This club can make a little bit of a dent in the upper echelon when it comes to them trying to sign a player and Leeds going in and robbing that player off them. It's a massive coup, and as I keep saying, is that the impact of the 49ers? Is this eventually the impact of Red Bull that we're now seeing? I would say yes. And if they're able to get players of the calibre that we're talking about with 4.5 days left, 4 days left, I will be really, really bowled over and happy with what the 49ers have set out to achieve and ultimately what they've achieved when it comes to the end of the window. And I think if they brought in a front line like that, let's say Salai's involved and Solomon's used in rotation, you've got James and Perot and Aronson, you've got Joseph, and you've got a really, really competitive team there, of which from a point of which we were all turning round and saying this is top six now with Rutter and Somerville leaving the club, I think you'd now at least look at it and think it's top two, isn't it? It is top two, and I think that is why I was mentioning at the beginning of the window, Leeds United waiting and seeing what happens, obviously, after these Prem clubs announce the 25-man squads and, agents start going out and saying, oh, so-and-so's going on loan or so-and-so is available for a permanent transfer. And it feels like that's exactly the blueprint when you see someone like Manor Solomon, Roland Salai. Obviously, that's probably one that's been done in the background for a while now, I would guess. But it's fascinating to see, and it's good. And hopefully, with the amount of time we've got left in the window, Leeds United will be able to get some of these deals done. And you never know, we might see a surprise or two in there. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are we eventually now seeing the impact of Red Bull? Who knows? I think we might be. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll see you in a bit.